This weekend, I traveled to Richmond, Virginia for GalaxyCon. While I was only there for one day, I had an absolute blast. I met some incredible people who I'm going to talk about in today's video, and there is so much I have to share. From meeting Emperor Palpatine himself to meeting Giancarlo Esposito, there is so much that I want to talk to you guys about. But first, we are very close to 1,000 subs. I think we're at like 980 something. If we could push to 1,000 subs with this video, it would mean so much to me. Thank you all so much for watching. Let's talk about GalaxyCon. So I started this day off super early. You have to go really early to these things if you want to get a good spot in line, not only to enter the convention, but to meet the people you want as soon as possible. My main goal here was to meet Ian Mcdiarmid, who plays Emperor Palpatine in not only the original trilogy, but the prequel trilogy and The Rise of Skywalker. He also voices Palpatine in The Bad Batch. He was the #1 person I wanted to meet at this event, and I have my Revenge of the Sith poster signed by not only Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin Skywalker, but now I have it signed by the Emperor himself. I honestly just can't wait till I move into a bigger place so I can finally hang up all these autographed things on my wall. This summer I actually went to Boston and met all of the Clone Wars actors, and I made a video on that, so you should definitely go check that out. And I just want to be able to hang up all these things on the wall, so sub to the channel, help me move out of this place, please. But back to the story. I got there super early in the morning and got in line, and there were already people there, so I thought I was screwed. I thought I was gonna have to wait super long to meet Ian like it was with Hayden Christensen. But somehow, by the grace of God, I sprinted as soon as the doors opened, and I was like the 15th to 20th person to meet Ian. He was in such a great mood. I actually got to take a picture with him. I'll throw that up now. And it was just so funny because I was telling him a story about how in high school one of my teachers put on a Macbeth movie with him in it as one of the characters, and he was like, oh God. And he's like, my whole class remembered you as Palpatine. And my English teacher was just so confused because he hadn't watched Star Wars. If you get the chance to meet him, I 100% would. Now, after I got my poster signed, I needed it to dry, so I walked over to this empty table for somebody who I wanted to meet later, and that's Nolan North. He's a voice actor. I'm sure you've heard his voice in many different things, and I wanted to meet him, but he wasn't at his table. So I used his table temporarily to let my poster dry, and I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes, and I turn around, and it's Gina Carano, formerly Cara Dune, right behind me. I was just casually sitting there, and she was right behind me signing autographs. I didn't get anything signed by her. I didn't meet her, but it was just kind of funny because I hung out there for so long, and she was just right behind me that whole time, and I got to kind of like wave at her, but that's pretty much it. So once my poster finally dried, I rolled it back up, I put it back in the tube, and I wanted to go meet Troy Baker. Now, you probably know Troy Baker's voice from many different things, including Joel from The Last of Us, Joker from Batman Arkham Origins, and so many other things, but I am a huge Last of Us fan. One of the first things I covered on my channel was the Last of Us TV show, and the games just mean so much to me, especially Part 2, so I had him sign my copy of The Last of Us Part 2. He even left room for Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie, to sign at the top one day in the future. I gotta meet her too. And Troy was just incredible. He was so nice, and he actually listened to what I was having to say, keeping eye contact the whole time. Such a nice guy, such a tall guy, and yeah, it meant a lot to me to meet him, and it meant a lot to him for me telling my story about how much I love the games and how much they mean to me in general. Again, another person that I would highly recommend meeting if you ever get the chance. I then jumped back in line to meet Nolan North, and I'm a huge Call of Duty Zombies fan, so Edward Richthofen, the main character for Call of Duty Zombies, was something that I wanted him to sign. And luckily I had this Richthofen action figure, and he put a huge quote. I know I was such a pain asking him to write this whole thing, but he was super cool and immediately went right into the voice of the character. He also voices Nathan Drake in the Uncharted series, another fantastic series, so if you haven't played those games or anything by Nolan North, you've got to check them out. He's a fantastic voice actor, and he actually voiced David in The Last of Us 2. Not the sequel, but he also voiced David in the original Last of Us. So those were the three main people that I wanted to meet, and I had some extra time on my hands, so I looked around and saw plenty of other people that piqued my interest. Jim Shooter, who wrote the original Marvel Secret Wars story, was at this event, and I actually got him to sign my copy of Secret Wars #8, The Origin of the Black Suit for Spider-Man. I didn't crack this out of the slab and get it regraded with the verified signature because I don't plan on selling this. This is just for my personal collection, but he was very nice. But he had a lot to say about Marvel, and I'm not really going to go into too much detail because I don't really like to do drama stuff on my channel. But long story short, I asked him what he thought they were going to do with Secret Wars. And he started going on and on and on about how Marvel is kind of disillusioned and they're doing the wrong things, they're failing, and they need to use his story because apparently they were going to be using the 2014 Secret Wars version, which was more cohesive in terms of a storyline. But now that they're reworking things, possibly Jim Shooter's story is going to be influencing the new Secret Wars movie. So I don't know. He was very nice to talk to because he actually engaged in a whole conversation with me, but he didn't seem too thrilled about Marvel Studios. And that makes me kind of sad just because I love Marvel Studios, I love Marvel Comics, and not seeing them get along per se is kind of weird. Then again, I don't know the full story. I'm not going to judge anybody based on their opinions on that matter. So it was nice to meet him. I'm so glad he got to sign my book. I still love Marvel Studios. And then I went on to meet someone else. One of my favorite memories in high school and just growing up was watching Breaking Bad. I remember finishing that entire series in my Spanish class, just not paying attention at all, but actually just watching the show on my phone. And then I rewatched it again with my dad, like 3 episodes every night. And it was one of our favorite shows to watch together and such a core memory for me. And then again in college, I introduced it to some of my roommates. So as a Breaking Bad fan, as a Star Wars fan, I had to meet Giancarlo Esposito. Giancarlo plays Gus Fring in Breaking Bad and also plays Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian. You also may know him from games like Far Cry or the show The Boys, which I can't wait for the new season. I didn't want anything signed by him. I just wanted to take a picture and take a look at this. I told him I wanted to do the iconic pose where Gus holds his tie before his face gets, blown off. And this may be one of the coldest pictures I've ever taken in my life. After I took this picture, I talked to him for just a brief minute and I said, "Why do you want to play Professor X in the Marvel Universe?" And he was very intimidating. Let me tell you, out of all the people I met, he was the most intimidating. And when I asked him that question, he said, "Who said I wanted to play Professor X? You said that, not me." And I didn't really know what to say there because he was kind of referring to the fact that he was asked about that at another convention, and that's what I was referring to. So I had him explain it to me, and he said at a convention a while ago, someone asked if he were to play a Marvel character, who would it be? And he said it would probably want to be Charles Xavier. He wants to play a good guy over a bad guy. And I thought this was really interesting because he kind of shut down. I'm not saying he's been in talks to play Professor X, but I told him that he would be fantastic in the role. He really thanked me for that, and he was just such a treat. While he was very intimidating, he holds nothing back. He is very funny, he's very active, and he is such a delight to all of the fans. While his time in Star Wars is technically up, I do think he has a future in the Marvel Universe, considering they haven't used him yet, and he would play such a good hero even though he's played all of these villainous characters before. I think Charles Xavier would be great because not only would he be able to give the good sides of Charles like Patrick Stewart did, but also be more serious and give off the more characteristics that he's portrayed in other characters that he's played in the past. I actually did get to see the actors for the Clone Wars who play Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan again, but I didn't get anything signed. They are always just the best, and it's so cool seeing them interact with all of the fans and being so genuine and talking to them and appreciating them for watching the Clone Wars. I also quickly waved and said hi to Carson Teva from The Mandalorian, and Daniel Logan, who plays young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones, was there as well. And weirdly enough, he's been liking my photos on Instagram, which is so strange because I don't even think I followed him at that point, and I didn't really comment on anything from his posts, so I don't know how he found my channel. So Daniel, if you watch my YouTube videos, you're awesome. But yeah, I had such an amazing time at this convention. I always do. This is the 3rd one I've gone to. Last time I met Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio at this GalaxyCon. And then of course at the Fan Expo in Boston, I met Hayden Christensen and all the Clone Wars actors. The next one I'm going to is in May, and I'm going to be meeting Ray Park, who plays Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. He also did some motion capture for the Clone Wars Season 7, so I might have him sign my poster. I know this is a different style video, but I thought I'd just share my experiences with you guys just because it was so cool and it was so fun. So if you guys ever get a chance to go to any of these conventions, I highly recommend it. It's a great time meeting these awesome people, and it's not always bad to meet your heroes. So thank you so much for watching. If you could get us to 1,000 subs, it would make my dreams come true. You have no idea how crazy it is that I'm actually even talking to somebody right here and someone's watching this video. I never thought this would happen, and now we're almost at 1,000 subs. It means the world to me. So thank you so much, and I will see you very soon.